Well, hey,
Right.
welcome to the Distorted Dialogue podcast on the Metal Institute of Thrashology. We got Jake Adams from the Virginia-based band Valkyrie. So stoked to have you today, Jake.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Yeah, appreciate your interest in the band.
Man,
Definitely.
after seeing that set, how can I not be interested, right?
Well, I ended up I was busy at the end of the set and I didn't get to talk to you, man. I know you talked to the rest of the band, but we ended up just scrambling out of there, so I apologize.
I noticed every concert I go to, I'm always like, I got this plan. Like, I'm gonna talk to the band, I'm gonna interview them, I'm gonna get all this information, and then it gets
Uh,
busy and nothing happens.
yeah, that's tough. That's tough. Yeah,
But
this is better. We can focus here better, I'm sure.
oh, of course, and I think it's a much more relaxed environment too. It's easier to communicate. I'm deaf, so
Okay. Yeah, I get
yeah.
it.
So first, like your 2020 album Fear, I've been listening to it, I don't know, maybe like since the show, and it's killer, man. But I was I'm struggling to fit it into a category. Like
Yeah.
it's part doom, it's kind of like southern bluesy, and it's just delicious, dude.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, we don't I mean, I think it's good. We like to defy the categories, definitely try to do our own thing and we do draw from a lot of influences for sure. I mean and they're all valid and they're all part of our history and what inspires us. So it's like why limit ourselves?
I agree, and I see a lot more bands doing that now. Like I
Oh,
remember
good.
the old school was like we're thrash, we have to be thrash. And
Right.
like it's so nice now to see like this like avant-garde like just pulling influences in from everywhere, and I think it's great.
Well, I mean, part of it is just like I wanted to. I just realized a lot of the bands that I loved had dynamics to their music. It just wasn't the same. Just like it gives you room to like breathe every once in a while. Like let's take it down a little low and play soft, and then bring it back up. Or some of my favorite bands do that, and I'm like, why aren't we doing this? And there was a time we've always thrown in like random kind of parts together, sort of like I guess Sabbath would
Yeah.
just jump into a major key part. We've always liked that kind of stuff, but I've always wanted to just have more like dynamics when it comes to volume and feel and tone and stuff too.
There's a lot of texture in your sound. Like I just all I keep thinking, I was raised on like the blues. Like my dad was a record collector, and that's all I listened to was like blues, funk. And like you guys have that groovy, bluesy feel, and like it just feels so soulful when you listen to it. And I really enjoyed it. Even on your previous albums, your three other ones, just really from the start of your catalog on, it just flows really nice.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for the riffs, dude. I like them.
Right
So
on.
what's it like being with your brother in a band? That gotta be fun at times, but difficult at others.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we it's like anything, things ebb and flow and they have different seasons. And I mean, we've both been through a lot over the last 20 years. I mean, we've been playing in this band, and I mean, shoot, we were playing in bands since high school, so it's nothing new.
Right.
So for 30 years plus, we've been playing together, like in the bedroom,
Yeah.
figuring tunes and playing in basements and everything else. And so it does create an interesting dynamic. I think over the years, it's gotten better as far as because there have been times where we weren't seeing eye to eye and it spills out, and then our poor bandmates have to be part of that, and they figured out who, because we've had a couple different rhythm sections over the years, and they figured out like, no, I'm not gonna jump in and take sides on this one. I'm just gonna sit this one out.
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, it has gotten crazy, and it still does every once in a while, but generally I'm happy to say that in recent last couple years it's gotten a lot better as far as just keeping a chill
Yeah.
civil, happy, copacetic environment for the band. Yeah.
But do you think So I think you're the second or third band I've interviewed with like multiple, like one band, Tungsten, had like two brothers and a dad in it. And I was
Oh,
like, oh man. So then they had a lead singer who was like off by himself. And I was like,
mm,
oh man, that could lead to some dynamics, you know? But I think with like, I have two kids, but I'm an only child. And I watch like two sisters just lay into each other. And sometimes that honesty is what's needed and great.
that's true. That's
Sometimes it's not though.
Yeah, I mean, there's a concept that I've thought about a lot of times with music too. Is like you do need someone that's willing to check you. You know, I think everybody needs that in their life, but also just musically to be like, are you sure you want to do that? You know,
Yeah.
because I think some bands, I think they've kind of started to go downhill when there's no one to check them, and there's just one guy that dominates the conversation, and this is the way I'm going to do it, and it's not always the best, you know. It's like, just the diversity and the clash of opinions is good, and it something new comes out of that, you know.
Yeah. When I started this, I was like initially I grew up as like a punk rocker and then I got into thrash a lot. Well, I grew up on thrash and then got back into it. So starting this, I was introduced to Eric Kaplan from Thunderbird Divine, who introduced me to Shy Kennedy from the
Okay.
Descendants of Crom. And that's
Yeah.
how I widened my whole like musical palette.
Oh,
And
cool.
it has been so rewarding. Like the more I learn about like diversity in music, and that's how boundaries are being pushed. And it's just, I'm so glad you said the diversity is needed because like I think that that's what kept metal back for so long.
Yeah, no, there's something to that. I mean, I appreciate being true to what you're about. Obviously, you know, it's
Yeah.
like and purists, and there's something to say for that. There is, and because metal is sacred, you know, in a real way. It's part of people's heart and soul, and so you don't mess with that. You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
have to honor that, and like as a band, you always want to be true to the people that got you to where you were, true to your original influences in some way, at least respectful and but but that doesn't mean you can't innovate. And it's again, it's something we've seen over the years. It's like we you see bands that they might start in a certain scene, but over the years they kind of turn their backs on those people as they see new opportunities or whatever. Like I never liked that idea that you would just turn your back. I mean, I'm thinking, let's just embrace. If we're gonna embrace new sounds, maybe that's just more people that come into the fold rather than saying, you know what, we're kind of over that. We're gonna go a different direction. I don't know. I mean, I think there's a lot of ways to look at it.
Yeah.
Um,
And like going back to like what you said about like earlier when you said like you guys stay true to yourselves and like you pull in influences from everywhere. I think like the more I thought about it today while I was on a long walk and listening to your album, and it really like the thing that caught me was like a Thin Lizzy approach almost. Like Phil Lynott could probably play anything from Slayer to like Beethoven, but and he was so diverse, but it all was encapsulated under one like moniker and it worked really well. And I feel like that's the same thing with Valkyrie. Like it just has that like I can
cool.
take from anywhere.
No, that's cool. Yeah, that's good to hear. I mean, because we've sort of danced around a few different things. I mean, I think um, when I started the band, I had a more narrow focus because I wasn't new to heavy rock. I wasn't, and I mean, I grew up on like, Zeppelin and Hendrix and stuff like that. But I think I was really relatively new to like the underground heavy rock scene,
Yeah.
and I was just, I don't know, I was like, okay, I like this type of stuff. I wanted it to be heavy, doomy, psychedelic, but I kind of had in my head like a Sabbath kind of. That was sort of the box that I had for myself. Like it was a world created by Black Sabbath and a few other obvious influences there too. But over the years, I'm like, oh wait, there's this whole scene. Like there's new wave of British heavy metal, and then there's there's like British like progressive rock from the 70s, you know, and I started bringing that stuff in. And that I think that's when like we started to open up more. And then I'm, you know, in recent years, I'm like, you know what? Uh, I just like 90s. I mean, we cut our teeth. Like I was 13 in 93. Okay.
All right,
And
so was I.
okay. It's called, I didn't know we're the same age. That's awesome. So
Yeah,
you can
dude.
like grunge, like the whole like Nirvana and all the Seattle bands. We were really into that, and that led it to all kinds of cool shit like the Melvins and Jesus Lizard and that noise, just so much stuff. And that's always been uh, something we like to do too. Is just and so I'm saying what I'm saying is we don't feel like we're. I never wanted to be a retro band.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I never liked that idea. Like it's funny because after it's funny how I remember this. Like I guess it was like early, I want to say like 2004. We had probably had just been a band for like a couple of years. It was like 2004 or five, and that Witchcraft album came out.
Yeah.
Right, and I was like, this is crazy because it sounds like it was recorded in 1969, and that was the goal, right? And then you start seeing these Swedish bands and bands all over the place, and I'm not trying to trash talk, okay? It's just not my thing. But we were like, oh, so these guys they're going to vintage stores and buying clothes as if they are in 1969. Their gear is literally from early, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah. Yeah.
and I was like, to me, I wanted to be more reflective of who we were personally and where we're from and the times we came up in.
Yeah.
And so I want to. It's funny how big that retro rock craze was, and there was this just, it was very occult. Everything was occult. Everything was like that same aesthetic, and we've always loved that. You know, I mean, what's not to
Right.
love? There, the psychedelia, the heavy dark shit, but um, it's we always wanted to keep like you know, I guess I don't know. I guess I'm just stay with like who we were and what our influences. So including like stuff from the '90s, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
'70s.
Yeah. Now that you say that about like the 90s, I can hear it like more in your music because like I grew up listening to that same 15 songs on the radio station on repeat. And so
Yeah.
yeah, I remember those years. So as far as staying true to yourself, is that where the lyrics come from too? Because they feel like almost sincere and vulnerable at times.
Well, yeah, I mean, well, first of all, I started when we started. I said, look, I mean, if I'm going to spend a lot of time on this project, I mean, it's a lot of hours out of my
Sure.
life spending time on and putting a lot of effort into this stuff. I wanted the lyrics to have some type of social content on some level where it wasn't like just fantasy based. Like I never, when I sit down to write, it's hard. I'm not a lyrics guy really. I don't start with the lyrics. The lyrics are like the very last thing. And I sit down and I'm like, all I can write about is what I'm really feeling at the time. And I'm a person that's very socially aware of what's going on in the world. And so it's kind of like whatever's on my mind, I'm going to write it down. And like, that might be
Good.
what's on the record. And
Yeah.
so looking back at the trials and tribulations I've been through the last 20 years, and I think the album's like, reflect kind of what I was thinking about and what I was going through. I mean, the last one, like I'm looking forward to like the next album being like a lot happier and brighter because that one was the pits. I was like, personally, I was writing about what was on my mind, and it was like this really bad relationship. And that was just what, like, I had all these philosophical ideas I wanted to talk about all these like these profound ideas about life. But when I sat down with the pen and paper, I was just reflecting on this crappy relationship. And
Yeah.
so that's what I ended up writing about a lot. And it is what it is, it's
Right.
at least it was real. Again, I don't want to necessarily do that again.
Right.
I don't.
But
Yeah.
maybe you had to get that out of the way to get the profoundness on this next record, you know? Maybe it was like a
No
healing
doubt.
process.
Well, that's one way to look at it. I appreciate that for sure. But yeah, even just the recording session was where I was. Like when we were recording it in the studio, when I think back to my mental state, it was definitely not ideal. The
Yeah,
other
there's a band
testified.
there's a band releasing an album tomorrow, the Friendship Commanders. I'm sure you're probably familiar with them.
No, no.
Oh man, they're a two-piece out of Nashville. I just caught them like the week before you guys came to town, and it's Buick Audra's the guitarist, and then they have a drummer, Jerry Rowe, and they have their new album comes out tomorrow, and it feels very like liberating and freedom, and like you've just discarded all the baggage in your life, and it was like the same thing. I listened to all her albums in a row, and then it was like you could feel the shift in the tide, and I felt like that like maybe 2020's fear is what that is, locking all that bad shit away and let's go on now. And now we can like, we got it all out. Let's go.
No, that's cool. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, the subject matter was dark, the times were dark,
Yeah,
2020.
that was
A lot to
bad.
talk to. I mean, it was just people hit rock bottom in a lot of different ways, social, emotionally,
Sure.
uh, just a lot of literal fear. But it's just weird how it all worked out because Warren's he studied German, and of course we have the Norse influence on the name, which is Scandinavian,
Sure.
Germanic roots there. And Warren said, "Well, this is our fourth album, and the number four is fear in German." And I was like, "Well, damn," because independently of that, the songs we were already calling like that was some of the subject matter. It had to do with fear, and so it was
Okay.
perfect. It really was a perfect name for it in every way. I mean, so it felt right for sure.
Yeah, and like now that you say that about the German and the four, like I never would have guessed that because the album, like you said, is like the fear plays into the album title. So it seems like that would have been. It's really cool how all that kind of coincidental kind of stuff works out. I like that.
Yeah, yeah. The only thing was when we finally got around to releasing it, it was in the heart of like quarantine land,
Yeah.
and it just we couldn't tour around it at all, and so it just kind of sat there, and it was sort of a see Shadows was 5 years before, and we were able to really ride that wave, and like we played a lot of some of our biggest shows ever, got some of the just really great opportunities, and we were just cruising on that, and we weren't able to, we kind of just flatlined and plateaued there. We got a lot of good online like feedback from that album, and I thought the album was cool. Like we were happy
That's
with the album,
great.
but
Yeah.
it kind of just we just flatlined, and then shortly thereafter, my brother and I we both had babies. Like we had children in 2020.
Yeah.
Turned out 2 days apart. This none of this was planned. We had
Crazy.
daughters 2 days, same hospital, all that. And so that then we got sucked into like that and like child rearing. But now that they're five,
Yeah.
okay, now we're freeing it. We've got a routine now. They're big enough to fend for themselves a little bit, and
Yeah.
we can start like looking at this next album a little bit more seriously, and doing some shows and stuff.
You guys really do it all together. You're in bands together, delivering babies together.
Well, he's my best friend. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And the music is what keeps us together. I mean, we have a lot in common, but day to day, like he lives an hour away. I don't see him every day, but it's mainly the music that links us, and so that's been something that we feel good about, and I don't take it for granted.
I could tell, like, I filmed a little video earlier today, but I could tell that you guys were having like legit fun on stage. And like it transferred so well because like you weren't the only band that were having fun that day. I don't know if you were before or after Ed Hockley and
We're
like Man, their set was like so good. You could tell they were having fun. And then
Yeah.
you guys came on, and I was like, oh shit. Then Crip Sermon. I was like, dude, this is a phenomenal, phenomenal day of music.
Okay. That was so we played Friday, and then Crip Sermon,
Okay.
they were on the next day, and we had already left town. But the I just felt really, I don't know, like I was in the right headspace when I got up on stage, and I was just feeling really positive and like free. The
Yeah.
night before, it was interesting because uh, our local venue, like the venue locally to play where the sound's good and it's just and everything. It's called the Golden Pony, and it's a small room. I think it fits about a little over 200 people in there. Um, and we actually Corrosion and Conformity. Actually, they gave me a shirt. I'm wearing it tonight.
Oh
But Corrosion
yeah.
and Conformity played there, and they invited us to open up. So it was just us and them the night before, and it was an interesting night. But I was not in the same kind of. I mean, I was feeling good. I wasn't feeling bad, but I didn't have the same. I don't know. I don't know what it was. It was just not the same headspace. Honestly, I think I might have drank like too much coffee, and like it made my head a little different, and I didn't feel as relaxed. But
Yeah.
I think I got the that chemical mixture just right, and so I was able to just be relaxed and just have more of a good time and be more confident. Really, I felt more confident.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter. The COC fans were like very receptive, and they were super stoked, and they like bought all of our merch and stuff. It was awesome. So
Oh
it
yeah.
was well interesting. Just side note, because I just an interesting kind of thing that I've been thinking about is so a lot of the people that came out to see COC that night, and this is our third time playing with them too. We played with them in Richmond, and then another time in like Ohio somewhere. But um, a lot of the people that came out to see them, they were like our age or older. They'd been knowing that band forever, right?
Yeah.
They were from the local areas. Now we live in a small city, college town type thing, and then all around us is countryside, and everybody that came out was from the countryside, like from the
Wow.
surrounding, yeah, small towns, little towns in the neighborhood, and they were like, "We've never heard about y'all before." And I was like, we've been here for 20 years, man. We've been, you know what I'm saying? Like, but it was when I guess they were familiar with COC through other channels, I mean, MTV and other channels like that. And but they weren't aware that there's like, has been a heavy underground scene for a long time here. And it was just cool that we got a lot of new fans out of that. It
Yeah.
was interesting that demographic that didn't know we existed, but we
Yeah.
they've been here, we've been here. They just don't come downtown to see shows. You know,
Yeah.
it was
I
kind of
think
wild.
so. Are you guys Northern Virginia or Southern?
I mean, it's. I think if you put it on an axis, it'd probably be northwest.
Okay.
We're Shenandoah Valley, which is culturally different than Northern Virginia because that's sort of its own beast up there. That's more suburban. That's a DC suburb. So
Sure.
we're south of the DC suburb.
Okay.
Um, we just happen Harrisonburg, where I've lived for 20 some years, is like it's like I said, it's a college town. It's technically a metro area, but it's small.
Okay.
Uh, but it's yeah, it's cool. It's
My
cool.
best friend used to live in Vienna and then he moved to Herndon and then Herndon Reston and then I used to hang out. We were in the Marines together, so we used to drive up from the Carolinas. We'd drive to Quantico. That's where his wife was. And
Sure.
then after we got out, me and him made numerous trips back and forth. I've caught I don't know how many shows at the Fillmore in Silver Spring and
Yeah,
great area for music. A lot of killer bands in that area.
yeah. DC Doom, man. Maryland Doom. Uh,
Yeah.
the earliest bands we sort of linked up with were sort of from Western Maryland,
Okay.
DC, where we like there just that Frederick. There's a scene in Frederick that's has always been there, and we just resonated with a lot of those bands. Similar type of lifestyle, honestly. Like it's straight north. It's Maryland, but it's really just north of where we are, a couple
Okay.
hours. Uh, um, Yeah, there was always some kind of harmony there, you know.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you guys made it all the way up to Pittsburgh. We
Yeah,
don't,
that's Pittsburgh is always a lot of fun. We've always enjoyed that.
it seems like a lot of bands pass us over. And so, like,
Huh.
it was so nice for Shy to bring in like such killer bands this year. I mean, this year was really, really, and even Friday night with you guys and Ringworm, and man, what a great 2 days that was.
Yeah, shot. That's the third one that we've been up there for. And I mean, we always eat really good food up there. We always look forward to going up there and just eating really well. And
Yeah.
Pittsburgh's just always fun. I don't know. We just always like the people. We just always enjoy it. We've been coming there since probably like '05 or something like that,
Okay.
off and on. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was that long. So your break from 2008 to roughly 2015 on Valkyrie, that you spent a majority of the time in Baroness.
Oh,
How,
that's Pete.
oh, that's Pete. I thought that
Yeah,
was you.
yeah. That's my brother.
Oh, that was Pete. I thought it was you.
Yeah, we can talk about that though. I mean, you know, I've been living vicariously through him for a long time. I mean,
So
uh,
how did that affect your band was what I was gonna ask. Like the
yeah.
time away. I had to slow it down a little bit.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was well, first of all, you know, so Baroness, the guys that founded that band, were we grew up in high school playing together. We played in bands together,
Okay.
and they're neighbors and our close associates. And they all moved to Savannah. That's where they got the band started. And Pete was actually in Savannah down there too. And then later, you know, they had some lineup shifts and things, and so it was very natural for them to call Pete.
Yeah.
Uh, he was technically proficient. He was one of their old homeboys, and they had this tour opportunity. And so Baroness, when they got started, you know, they just hit it super hard and toured so much and
Yeah.
played with bands, and it was really cool just to see them rise. And they called Pete and they said, "Hey, we need a guitar player for this tour." And Pete called me and he did ask me. He said, because he knew we had plans with Valkyrie and we were doing a lot of stuff, you know, around that time with Valkyrie. We had sort of, can't remember. I guess we had just gotten a new lineup. We had just gotten sort of a new lineup. Warren was with us then, and he said, "Look, man, I've got this opportunity. We're about to go. The offer is to go on tour with Opeth and High on Fire."
Oh yeah.
And I said, "Dude, what do you mean? Of course. Like, what do you?
Yeah.
That's like, fuck yeah." And I ended up. I went to one of those shows, and it was sick, you know. And it was funny hanging out with my mom backstage, and her just seeing her interact with some of the well, talking to Matt Pike from High on Fire, and just he was very cordial with her and very polite. It was a very nice, wholesome time
Did he have his
back.
shirt on?
So no, so honestly, that opened up so many doors for Pete and like opportunities to tour the world, and of
Yeah.
course he met people that ended up being friends of Valkyrie, who said, "Oh, you know, I've got this other band," and they would be into that, and then you know, it definitely opened some doors for us as far as new bands to play with and opportunities. So, but yeah, we definitely had to take a back seat in a way, and because he was doing it sort of like basically for a living. I mean, we all had our other jobs going, and he was doing it full time, and it was a bummer because he would be so tired from being on the road for weeks at a time. And when he came back, all we wanted to do was grab him and also go on the road. But we realized that wasn't going to work either. And so we definitely kind of laid a little bit lower for some time. Yeah.
Oh,
So, but it's cool. It's just all part of the process. I actually moved to Honduras during that time, and I thought I was going to be there forever. And
oh well.
so there's other stuff going on. It was cool.
You're gonna have to send me some Honduras bands.
I wish I could tell you something, man. That I definitely collaborated with some folks, but I didn't get a real sense of the scene. I know there's death metal was definitely big down there, but I didn't get it. That's not a lot of what I was doing. I was
Yeah, yeah.
teaching school down there.
Okay. So is
Yeah,
that what you're doing like for your profession? You're a teacher?
yeah, yeah. I'm like a history, geography teacher. Yeah, social studies.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, teaching. for I guess it's like 14 years, middle and high school.
I'll be honest, especially with his passing recently, but Thomas Lindbergh, and he was a teacher, and I was like, dude,
Right.
how fucking cool would that be? Like if Thomas Lindbergh was like your fifth grade teacher, I wouldn't learn shit. I would be like, hey man, that one lyric on Slaughter of the Soul.
I know, right? Man, I've spent a lot of time with that myself. But I've noticed over the years, I didn't realize I was falling into a stereotype, but I kind of did because my hair is a little shorter now, but I had the ponytail for a while, and I was like the history teacher that likes heavy metal and classic rock with the ponytail guy. And I didn't realize, but I kept meeting other people like that in bands, and people, I don't know, I just realized there's sort of an archetype there.
Yeah.
And it's funny, there seems to be a connection. English teachers too, English and social studies teachers, I've noticed, often are in like metal bands.
So when I got out, when I went to the Marines, I had free college, me and my roommate. So he went towards law and I went towards English because I loved it. And I was like, I want to be an English teacher. And my dad was like, that's a stupid idea. You don't even speak English right. So I'm like, all right, fuck it. So then I got out. Pittsburgh's this huge hospital. So I started working in hospitals instead.
Yeah.
Now my roommate and my neighbor who was there Friday night talked me into picking up these heavy blocks of wood. And like I can't play for shit, but I have a good time. And I think like I have that musical mind, but I just didn't cultivate it young enough. And I feel like when you say archetype, you have to have a certain way of thinking to be a musician. I feel you have to be a little bit more free thinking and a little bit more like creative.
No doubt, no doubt. I mean, it is I really appreciate bands that tour a lot because it is the time old troubadour tradition. It's like people have been traveling from town to town, entertaining people with songs for since forever, and there is. I just always appreciated that it is a way of life, sort of it is a mindset, and it's a vital part of society. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It really is, and I always just I don't care what kind of band it is. I try to just go out and see touring bands, and I like to interact with them and get a sense of what their life is like on the road, and it's interesting. Um, but yeah, there's also I think for I don't know what it is. So maybe the themes that come up in social studies and English that sort of also are of interest to I mean it's I think of the sort of the I think of Zeppelin as like this archetype of just heavy rock that incorporates some folk traditions and lyrical concepts that are they were all the references that bands make to Lord of the Rings and things
Yeah.
thing to me, yeah. um anyway, yeah, it's cool, it's cool. There's something to that, but yeah, a lot of people I've talked to over the years have been like, yeah, my eighth grade history teacher is who told me about this band, or they got me into, you know, Bob Dylan or somebody really important that like took you down that path, and now you really appreciate a certain genre of rock music or folk or something. I think, yeah, I appreciate that too. There's always a few every year that seem to be the ones that I'll take aside and be like, have you ever heard this? Or,
Yeah.
uh, but I'm not just hitting them over the head with it. I don't come right out.
Yeah.
I don't just share it all with them. They have to show that they're interested.
Sure, sure. But like you said about traveling from city to city, like I traveled in the service, and I think that's what made me so, it was only like a couple years, but it made me so aware of the rest of the world, culture, the diversity. And I think again, that's what, like the diversity in metal and music by swapping all those cities. It's a beautiful thing, man. It really is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hey, I hate to cut this short. We're running out of time, dude.
All right.
But I had a blast, man. And
Yeah,
I want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to just even talk to me, man.
No, it's cool. Yeah, it's a fairly rare opportunity for myself, so I appreciate it. So yeah, it's
Well,
been a while.
hey, if you
But
want
thanks
to
for
do it
the good
again,
words. Thanks for listening to all the tunes.
dude, they're so good. Why wouldn't I? Like, dude, come to Pittsburgh and play them again. I'll tell Shy to set you up.
Yeah, we'll be back up there for sure. Yeah, we're I'm hoping to get in the studio this summer and then go from there. But we'll once we do that, then we'll be really ready to play some shows again.
Yeah, and after you're done, let me know. I'll do a review on it or whatever. And if you guys come up here, I'll take you out to pizza or something.
Sounds good, Mike. Yeah, appreciate it. Good talking to you tonight, man. Stay in touch.
Oh, dude, I might be too annoying. I don't know.